Welcome back to grade 11 geography. So in this video, we want to look at balance of trade, whereby we are given information before we start to answer the questions. So you are supposed to go through everything that is given in the information that we have. So in terms of our question, the first question, it reads, define the term balance of trade. So this is the first question that we have. But basically, we see that balance of trade is a comparison that is there between the exports and the imports of a country. So basically, we are saying the difference between the monetary value of a nation's exports and imports of goods over a certain time period. So of course, this comparison has to take place over a certain period. So sometimes the trade service is also included when we are calculating the balance of trade. So balance of trade measures a flow of variable of exports and imports over a given period of time. So we are saying if a country exports are greater than its imports, it has a trade surplus. So we are saying exports greater than imports, we have a trade surplus. And then obviously when imports now become greater than exports, it becomes a negative trade balance. So that is what we have. So in terms of that, we now look according to the definition that we have according to our outer section, whereby we are saying balance of trade refers to the balance between a country's imports and exports. So this is just a brief explanation that's going to give you your 1 mark. So going to the next question, it reads, South African Revenue Service depicts a positive balance of trade. And then our first question reads, give evidence from the case study 1.4 to validate the statement that the balance of trade is positive for South Africa. So we are going to go through the case study that we are given and to try to identify evidence that is showing that there's a positive trade balance. So if you check at the beginning, it reads as the trade surplus. So this term that we have here indicates that we have got more exports than imports, meaning a positive trade balance. So that's one of the points that we can take note of. And then if we come in the sentence, it means exports were up 2%. So this also indicates that we have a positive balance. So that is what we have. So we're saying exports are larger more than imports. So these are some of the points that we can take note of in the case that we're given, implying that less imports okay. And then also exports up 2% is another evidence that we have. We also have a trade surplus or occurred, which we have in the first sentence. But of course, our question only requires 1 point, so we can take note of that. So we go to the next question. So in terms of our next question, is saying provide 2 products which are exported by South Africa according to the case study. So we go back to the case study and see where we have products that are being exported. So you see that here it reads, if you come at this point, exports were up 2% and then mainly boosted by sales of precious metals, stones, base metals, chemicals, vegetable products. So these are the products that you can take note of according to this question. So we are saying base metals, precious metals and stones, chemicals, vegetable products. So these are the products that are mentioned as our exports. And then we move on to the next part, whereby please provide, we are now on 1.4.3, identify from the case study any 2 products South Africa imports. So we want now that are being sold, that are being bought, that are being bought from other countries. So we check there and see where we identify those. We see that if you come on this sentence, it says with the main decline seen for purchase of mineral products. So mineral products are being purchased from outside the country. We also have vehicles, we also have transport equipment. So these are the ones that we have. Then moving on to the next part, which is now question 1.4.4. It says protectionist policies restrict fair trade. Explain how fair trade could help certain countries to have a better balance of trade. Of course, we need to understand what are protectionist policies, and then we also understand what we mean by a fair trade. So basically, protectionist are policies that they are policies that are meant to restrict to restrict imports but encourage exports. So basically, those are the protectionist policies. So any policy that moves in that direction is a protectionist policy. So we are saying protectionism involves protectionist policies, involves government strategies are designed to limit international trade. So they limit international trade so that they boost domestic industries, so that they activate domestic production. So their policies designed to encourage domestic investment in a particular industry. So we want to protect a certain industry, they put a protectionism on borders so that the products that are being produced by those industries are maybe the protection is increased, and they restrict the imports of those goods so that they promote the production of local goods so that people can buy from those industries. So basically, that's what we have. And these policies are government policies, and they're aimed to restrict international trade to support domestic industries by imposing those tariffs, quotas, and also they can impose subsidies. They can use subsidies to activate that. So that is what we have in terms of the explanation of protectionist policies. So you're going to see that the protectionist policies they involve imposing measures on the borders whereby the tariffs are increased, and that is what at the end of the day the effect will be like. So in terms of that, now we try to understand what exactly we mean by fair trade. So fair trade basically is a trade arrangement designed to help producers in developing countries achieve sustainable and equitable conditions. So at the end of the day, you see that fair trade movement advocates paying higher prices to exporters and improving social and environmental standards. So we are trying to promote the exporters so that they export. So that's the process that involves a fair trade. So basically, we are saying it is a trading partnership based on dialogue. So trading partnership with other countries, and this trading partnership is based on dialogue, also based on transparency, and seeks greater equity in international trade. So that is what we have. So in terms of our question now, it is explain how fair trade could help certain countries to have a better balance of trade. And obviously, uh, the uh, the certain countries are going to be helped in the sense that they increase their exports so that they may be correct if there is a balance, if there is a trade a deficit, it can be corrected, resulting in a surplus there. So that can only be done by increasing their exports. So we look now according to the point that we have, whereby you're saying a better trade relationships. We also have no restrictions on certain goods. Products will be exported at a fair price to other countries. These are some of the points that you can include. Then also have more production of agreed products to the world market. So this is what we have for 1.4.4. So moving on to 1.4.5, discuss three importance of a positive balance of trade for South Africa. So obviously, a positive balance of trade, we are saying we're having more exports than imports. So having more exports represents that there is more economic activity that is taking place in the economy. So there is a production taking place in industries, which means we have got more goods being produced, which is going to result in many macroeconomic positives. We are going to have increase in GDP, which is going to again lead to economic growth. Remember, economic growth is the increase of the total monetary value of goods and services that are being produced as compared from one period to the other. So basically, those are some of the positives that we can deduce from that. We can also deduce the issue of reduction of unemployment. Since we are having more activity taking place in the local industries, we are going to have more workers being accommodated, whereby we are going to see that the employable population is going to be absorbed, and we are going to have employment rate going up and unemployment rate going down. So basically, these are some of the positives that we can deduce from that. We have a list of them, as we are saying, it will build a stronger international relationships, countries with any foreign exchange, improved employment opportunities. So foreign exchange is going to be earned by exporting, and we are having more exports, which means we are selling outside the country, and then obviously we get exports, we get foreign currency in the process. Then we also have better industrialization and import replacement. Import substitution is going to take place. Instead of importing goods or services, we substitute them by producing in our local economy. So that is import replacement or import substitution. We also have it will reduce poverty. Obviously, those workers that are going to be employed, they are going to have income, which is going to eradicate poverty. So we go to the next point. Trade helps with capacities building. Infrastructure will be developed and upgraded. And also a multiplier effect will take effect where one development will lead to development of other sector. So basically, this is what we have put into this video. Thank you for listening. And let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel and share the link to our colleagues what is the Level program.